to our 40th live stream on the space shooter DevVenture. So I want to start off by showing you the diagram that we're going to create together. Okay, and this is going to help us keep a visual mind map of all the different layers and connections and all those kind of things that are going to happen between the various threads that we're going to create in Perplexity. All right, and so this is not only for myself but also for you, right? So that you guys can keep track of how the threads are working, why I'm creating them in the first place, how they're supposed to help, what purpose they serve, all that kind of stuff. But mostly it's just so that it's mostly just for documentation purposes, right? Now, if we go over into, well, we are already in Krita, but like if we zoom in over here, we'll see that I've created a title box called Perplexity Manager Layout, right? And what that means is I'm using Perplexity as a project manager of sorts. All right, I am outsourcing the project management tasks and responsibilities to Perplexity because I don't have an actual project manager on my team. It's just me. And at the same time, excuse me, at the same time, I don't have the bandwidth to do it myself. I can't develop the game and design the game and run a an entire YouTube community and a Discord community and all of that stuff, plus be a project manager and all of those things at the same time. I'd have to cycle between them, right? So it's like I'd have to be one and then the other one, or maybe two and then another two or something, but I can't do all of it at once. And as such, it's not necessarily better, but it is beneficial for me to delegate that. The project management tasks can go to Perplexity because it can store the information, it can make connections with the information, I can access it like a digital library, I can instruct it on what to do with that information and all those things. Plus, now that that bandwidth is taken off of my cognitive load, I can take on a more directive stance. I can direct it, I can tell it whether I wanted to do something the way it's doing it or not, whether I wanted to change something to a way that benefits me better, or all those kind of things. And it's able to do a better job at it because it's the only thing that Perplexity is going to do, right? And I will be able to do a better job at the things that I'm doing because I'm not worrying or offloading some of my cognitive load onto managing the project anymore. So I hope that you understand and that I'm not just being lazy. All right, so it's not an act of laziness. So let's just do this. Okay, so this is the strategic layer. Let's create a strategic layer here. We'll say this is the strategic layer. Strategic layer. All right, and we'll make a disclaimer here in the front and say this is we'll put a vertical pipe, like so, to say this is now a separation between the title and its type, okay? And it is of type horizontal layer. So we'll do that. Horizontal layer. And then we'll switch for a brief moment. We'll switch over to eraser and just do a quick cleanup of the E there so it reads better. Horizontal layer like that. And we can clean up this E as well, just like that. Much better. Right, back to pen mode. Yes, okay. Now the strategic layer can have as many threads as we want it to. It's a layer, okay? So that's a key point we should add on the top here. So there are rules. We'll add rules to the top. We'll say this in red, so it's nice and clear that this is important information. All right, so we'll zoom in here. We'll make a nice big box, something like this from 0, 0. We'll press shift at 0, 0. There. And then we'll just hold down shift and it's going to make a nice big square. 60, 60, 80, 80 is fine. We'll do 80, 80. All right, so there we've got a box, and now we can create a title at 10 and go 10, 10, something like that. And now we'll zoom in on this with a pen and change the color to a similar color but not the same, like a yellow, maybe yellow on black, black and gold. A nice combination. So let's try this. We'll say rules, important rules. That's a very bad I. I am. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit so it's easier to read. Important. We'll make that P clean later. We'll clean up that character. Important rules. Okay, now we have to clean this up so it's nice and easy to read. Important. Switch back to pin. Okay. And then switch back to eraser. And back to pin. No, eraser. Okay. Sorry about that, but I needed to make it legible. So those are the important rules. Rule number 1 is that a layers, make it bigger. Have many. Nope. We'll just do this. Many threads. Okay. That's rule 1. And then rule 2, I suppose I should probably stretch that out. No, never mind. We'll deal with that later. Um, no, no, no. We're wasting time. Let's just switch back to the pen, and we'll carry on writing as if nothing is wrong, because nothing is wrong. Layer 2. I mean, point number 2. Ugh, we're still in line mode. Okay, here we go. Layer number point 2 is that we have layers. Isn't there a way to do like a half of a pixel? Yes, there is. So let's try that. Let's do just a little bit more than 1 pixel. Layers, communicate, talk to. Adjacent, layers. Okay, so layers have many threads and they talk to adjacent layers. And then the third one, there are vertical and horizontal threads. Those are the 3 points, the 3 major points that I want recorded here. And then we'll probably run out of space there anyway. So let's just do this. Oh no, we take off eraser. Okay. So now we'll say here, layers are horizontal I don't care that it's going. It's fine. Horizontal or make this a big or maybe I'll say XOR for exclusive OR. They must either be horizontal or vertical, but they cannot be both. You can't have a box layer. You can only have a line layer or vertical. And then we'll just clean up over here so that it's clear that that's an O and that's a Y. Okay. So now that we have those rules established, we can begin, right? So this is the strategic layer, and we'll deal down the center. So let me just put on my cursor so you can see that that clearly, right? So we'll deal down the middle like this for the horizontal interactions, and on the edges, if there are any vertical layers, we'll put them on the edges, right? So left and right, and we'll do them as columns, and then the rows will stick towards the middle. That way you can kind of see how the layers are talking to each other, either horizontal or vertical communication. All right, let's carry on, switch over to the white pen and draw the next one. Okay, so we're putting in a little bit of time now, but it will pay off in the future because we'll have the documentation, and I can refer to it in all of our future live streams and sessions, and do a quick recap rather than having to read through paragraphs or multiple replies from Perplexity in the actual threads themselves, or explain in words a lot without having any visual aids. So any teaching tools or visual aids or whatever you want to call them. 240 there on 0, right? And then we'll just go across like this, and then down to 280, or maybe 240 to 340. Yeah, like this. So 240 to 340, and then we go across like so. So this is from 100 to 120. So this is 20 pixels wide. So 240 to 260. So that's over here. Okay, and then we'll switch over to like a greenish color for this layer. We'll call this the tactical layer, which is also horizontal, right? So we'll just zoom in a little bit more, get a nice big fat context over here so we can kind of see more or less how we should fit things in. So this should be tactical layer like this over down here. So tactical. Tactical layer. We'll make a nice big separation here. We'll say that that is a horizontal layer too. Amazing. So now we've got the strategic layer and the tactical layer. And I want to fill these in with a different color so that you know the difference between background and a layer itself. All right, so let's do like a darkish blue color like that. And then let's do this color in a dark color like so, like that. So now you can see clearly the separation between the layer and the background, which is amazing. The thumbs up thing. It's amazing, right? So you can see the layers are roughly the same size, and you can see the difference between background and layer. I'm happy. Now it's clear to understand. And now I want operational layer. So let's do that. It's 100 pixels and 20 pixels. So let's do this. We'll start at 400. Switch over to white again. Start at 400 over here, like this. We'll just scroll over to the side here and go down by 100 pixels. So 400 until 500. Can it really be that small? Yes, it can be. Let me just see this. This is 240. This is 340. Yeah, it's 100 pixels. So be it. All right. We'll do this. We'll start here off screen and we'll glide across with a dead straight line using shift. We'll scroll all the way over and solidify that line. Excellent. Then we'll get that context again, something like that. No, that's better. Okay, and now we'll switch over to a third color. We've gone blue and then we've gone green. Now let's do red, like a reddish color, not pure red, because again, red is like a super important color. Maybe not red, maybe we'll go like a magenta. What's the transition? Blue, green, yellow, orange. Maybe orange. Let's do like a pale orange. Orangey yellow color, like this. Alright, so now this is the operational layer, and that's also horizontal. So let's do this. Operational. Oh, we're not in pen mode. Switch over to pen mode. And We'll draw that out. So we'll say operational layer over here. And then that is also a horizontal layer. Okay, so now we've got the operational layer, we've got the tactical layer, and the strategic layer. So let's do another color, which is like a brown bronze, maybe bronze. And we'll fill this in with that bronzy color. So now we've got the three colors we have here. We've got their layers, and now we can add in vertical layers if we want to. So I want to show you this. Okay, I've got a strategic layer so far. Excuse me. And then we've also got a vertical layer called design. Okay, now design is it's vertical because you want all three of these layers to interact with it. They need to have a reference to the design layer, regardless of which of the three horizontal layers you're in, right? You want to be able to reference the design and say, oh, okay, well, we are currently working on a gun for a pirate ship, for example, and the pirate vessel should have a specific fire rate based on the game design. So what is that? What is the game design saying, right? What are the general guidelines for the pirate ship? How should it fire? Should it fire rapid fire? Should it fire burst fire? Should it do high damage or low damage? If it does high damage, then it should probably not have a high fire rate. If it does low damage, then it should probably have a high fire rate, and so on. All right? And it should access all of those things, even down at the very bottom in the operational layer. It should know that, because if it knows that the enemy pirate is going to do low damage, high fire rate, then it's going to need to set those values, right? It's going to have to set the values according to a threshold or according to a description, which is also just a threshold, right? Just not a numerical threshold. It's a verbal or word word-based, lexical. It's a lexical threshold as opposed to numerical threshold. And yeah, so it should have access to all of the horizontal layers. Therefore, we'll do a vertical layer. So let's do that. We'll start up here. We'll go 100 wide and down. Maybe not. No. Do we want to go 100 wide? We can go 100 wide, I suppose. Let's do 100 wide. Let's do 100 wide. So we'll start here at 1080 and 100, and we'll draw out to 980 over there and go all the way down right to the bottom, 980, which is about there. Boom. Oh no, we drew it in white, I mean in bronze. It was supposed to be in white. Switch over to white. The outline color is white, and then the layer colors themselves are the colors. So start again. We'll start at 100 and 1080, and we'll go over down to the bottom, zoom over to the bottom here, and then draw out towards 980, which is here, and then let go. There we go. So now we've got this vertical layer, and I want to draw a vertical line through here. What I want to do now, though, is I want to change these colors to black. So let's just choose this. We'll erase those, and we can even erase these lines. Nope, 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 nope. I'll fix that later. For now, just ignore it. By the next live stream, I will have erased these. Don't worry about that. I don't want to waste time here, and so I'm not going to draw them in now. 1080 to 1060, which is here, and at 11060 we'll draw the line there, and then we'll just hold down shift and do a vertical line all the way down and let go. Oh, it's erasing. Nope, it's not erasing, it's just the wrong color. Frustrating, isn't it? So there, 1060 and 1080, or even just below. So we'll start over here. We'll just hold down shift and draw the line all the way to the top. We'll zoom all the way up. Whoa, that's way too high. To here. There. Oh, okay. All right. Switch back to pen, and now we'll just do a quick erase. We'll just do this. We can clean up the stubs at the end, but I don't want to dig into those edges, so let's just not do that. Something like this. And then like that. Nearly there, guys. Nearly there. Just bear with me one short while more. Maybe don't do that. And then 5. Just Okay, I think that's it. Nope, never mind. Still 3 more. Okay, now that's it. Perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rotate this thing 90 degrees. Just about 90. There we go. Perfect. And now I'm going to write here in the middle what this layer is all about. Yeah, we're on the right size. I want to change this color to be... Now we can make this like a purpley color, like a magenta or lavender. Maybe something a little lighter, and then a little darker, and then a little paler. So it's more visible on the black background. Something like this. And now we'll draw this in. We'll say that this is design. This is the design layer. Which is vertical. Vertical. Okay. And now we can color this in with a darker version, something more like this. And then we'll just do flood fill. Flood fill. Oh, are you kidding me? Oh, okay, it's all those lines that I erased. I thought I did a good job, but apparently no, I didn't. That's frustrating anyway. Fine. We'll just paint it in. What else is there to do except to paint it in? Switch this up to like 5 so it's easier. Then we'll just draw that in. You know what? No. Let's just do flood fill. Flood fill should go a little bit faster. And we guarantee that there's no opacity. Which is good. We don't want opacity. I think we can do a brush here. That will go faster. Flood fill. Pin. Size. There we go. 15 is bigger and stronger, and it will wipe these out faster. And then back to 3. All done. Okay, well, I learned my lesson. So the next time I do a vertical layer, I'm gonna do an actual paint layer, a separate layer, and on top of that layer I'll draw our next vertical layer, so that when I do flood fill, it's gonna actually do a flood fill and I don't end up wasting everyone's time, mine and yours. I do apologize. I didn't think about doing an additional layer. I only thought of it now. And that's why using the chat is so important, guys. If you can think of something to make it go faster, please, by all means, put it in the chat. I have the chat window open on a different monitor. I'm literally looking at it right now. So if you do post messages in the chat, I will see them during the live stream anyway. And after the live stream, I might still see them. I'm not sure. But my point is, if you let me know of a more efficient way to do something, I will at least try it. And if it works, I'll adopt it full time going forward until someone tells me an even more efficient way to do something. Because that's the whole point of DevVenture with MTK, right? Is continuous learning and improvement over time as we do, as we do these development adventures together. So the design layer is a horizontal layer and it goes like that. Now, there should be another layer, but for now, I think that's okay. I'm just going to turn this back towards the other orientation. So let's just do that. Back to 0. Okay, I'm going to turn down my dots per inch on my mouse so I can do much smaller rotations. Diagonal. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. We'll cancel that. Then we will save this. Just you know what? We won't save it right now. I must first figure out where it was saved. Where I saved all the other ones, then I can save this one. For now, we'll just leave it as is. Okay. Right. So now we need to draw. We need to draw some arrows. So let's do that. We'll create a new layer. A new layer, just for arrows. We'll call this the arrow layer. And now we'll switch over to a bright red color, well, this one, and then I'm going to draw those arrows in. Okay, so the tactical layer, the strategic layer, they communicate directly. All right, so there's an arrow that goes like so, and they talk to each other like this. No, you know what? I'm gonna do separate arrows. I'm gonna say going down with one color and coming back up with a different color. So we'll do red going down and green coming up. Okay, and going down will be a brief. Going down will be another brief. Like that. And then coming up will be reports. So that's a report. Nope, that's way too big. Let's not be greedy now that you have space. So that's a report. And that's also a report. So we'll draw another arrow like this. Call this report. All right. So we've got briefs going down, reports coming back up. And I should mention that there's a one-to-many or a many-to-one, right? The relationship. So let's do that. Well, I need to go back into paintbrush mode. Zoom in here. We'll change that to red. And now we'll do this. So what I mean here, you'll see now, is 1 is too many. And in this case, we've got many is to 1, right? So remember that there's a tactical layer that delegates the tasks to operational layers, right? So while we can expect the tactical layer as a generic layer to have many threads, realistically speaking, there should only be one tactical layer thread, and it should govern all operational layers, all operational layer threads simultaneously. And then, you know, like we could have multiple tactical layers, and maybe we might need to in the future. It depends. But my point is, theoretically speaking anyway, the strategic layer governs the absolute high level, right? So it looks at things in terms of chapters and sections, whereas the tactical layer looks at subsections, headings, and maybe paragraphs. And then the operational layer looks from paragraphs down. So paragraphs, sentences, words, characters. And so you kind of want at least, in terms of the tactical, you want all of the subsections in a section to be governed by the same tactical layer thread, at least, right? Ideally, you want the tactical layer to handle all its tasks in just one thread, but that may not be possible because, again, due to limitations of Perplexity as a platform, maybe it won't let me have a chat that big that it will manage all the different operational layers. So maybe I will need multiple threads, but we'll see as we go. All right. For now, though, for each thread, so let's say that this message here is from and to. Okay. So from one thread in the tactical layer to as many operational layers as required, right? So one tactical layer can send a brief to infinite operational layers, and then in this case, infinitely many operational layer threads can send their reports to just one tactical layer thread. That's my intention with this many to one relationship, okay, versus one to many. So the direction is from and to. From and to. So the arrow goes from here to there. So from many to one in this direction, and then from one to many in this direction. I hope that's clear. Okay. And then we'll go here and we'll change the same thing, or we'll write the same thing here as well, right? So we'll say this is one to many, potentially, ideally one to one, but again, there could be multiple tactical layers. And so we'll just say it goes from one strategic layer to infinitely many tactical layers potentially. And then on this side, we do the same thing. We'll say from infinitely many potential tactical layers to one strategic layer. Okay, so those are the relationships between the horizontal layers. Now we need to do the relationships between the horizontal layers and the vertical layer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do 90-degree arrows, and I'm going to do briefs and reports, right? So starting here, we'll do like a brief and then a report, and then maybe not, no, we'll just do one arrow at a time. Okay, so we'll switch over to the pen again, to pen, and this time it's not green or red, it's somewhere in between, so we'll choose yellow. All right, and we'll draw these arrows in yellow, and we'll say going from strategic to the design layer like this. Can communicate either way directly in a infinitely many to infinitely many. Ideally, it's only one thread that contains the design information, but there could be more. So we'll just say that like this. What do I say? What do I say? What do I say? I say infinite to infinite, many to many. Yeah, we'll just say many threads to many threads. All right. Same thing here. Many to many. Looks kind of like a banana. The way it's curved and yellow. We'll just do many to many again. And then here as well. Just do a right angled arrow this time. So it doesn't look like a banana. Okay, here we go. And this is as well a many to many relationship. Okay, so now we've got this, right? So now the strategic layer can talk to the tactical layer or the design layer. The tactical layer can talk to the strategic layer, the operational layer, or the design layer. And the operational layer can talk to the tactical layer or the design layer. All right, I hope that's clear. And so while we did take up basically the entirety of this live stream session, we have about 6 minutes left of our live stream. I think it was a valuable use. Well, maybe not a valuable use of the time, but it was a valuable effort to do this diagram. Okay, and we'll continue to build on this as we move on, right? But to have this map is valuable and important. And we'll draw in the threads as we create them as well. So don't worry about that. If you were worried, don't. If you weren't worried, maybe you should have worried so I could have allayed that fear. Nah, just kidding. But yeah, so we've got the layers done. Okay, and now we can go back into Perplexity by the next live stream and continue creating these actual layers and their threads, right? And so then we can populate the space with the various threads, and we can keep track of those threads with this diagram. So as you can see in Perplexity, we can have a space, but we can't have a group within a space, right? And if we could have, that means we wouldn't need the diagram, because we could have created a group for the layers, right? We could have created a strategic layer group of threads, and a tactical layer group of threads, and an operational layer group of threads, and a design layer group of threads, but we don't. We don't have that, right? It's only space and threads. So it's a group of threads and only one mega group of threads. And so then we have to have these prefixes like strategic layer, pipe, project management, and task assignment. Vertical layer, pipe, design. So we know, oh, from just from a glance, we know, oh, okay, so this thread is a strategic layer thread. And from a glance, we know, oh, okay, so this is the design layer thread. All right, I hope that makes sense. I think I'll close here, because there really isn't much time left. And to start something else right now is kind of foolish, because we'll just run out of time and then it won't really be done, and we'll be ending in, you know, in a cliffhanger or dead air, whatever you want to call it, mid-air. So I'm going to extend a big shout out to our junior DevVenturer, Cubes. Thank you so much for your support. And to the rest of you, you're welcome to check out coffee.com/mtkdev. This is the link over here in the bottom right of the screen. And also consider checking out the Discord server. The links are in the description as well. I hope to see you there. We have a community on Discord, and we have a community now on YouTube. And I made a post about that the other day. I think it was on Thursday. So please do join the community and engage with the community and engage with me, because that's how we build our, you know, our community. We bring the channel forward and we continue to move on, right? And you know, so support isn't just financial. I appreciate financial support very much, but in order for the channel to continue, I really do need your support in other ways, like engagement and sharing and subscribing and liking and letting YouTube know that these videos have value to you, right? And then if you can afford it, I would very much appreciate financial donations from you as well. So please do visit coffee.com and have a look. Maybe a one-time donation is all you can do, and that's fine. I appreciate that very much. And if you want to become a member, there are perks listed, and you can have a look and decide which tier fits your budget and your perk preferences. So again, thank you for your time and your attention, and I'll see you all in the